This is Alibaba's model library on Hugging Face, sorted newest first. Qwen3.8-Max is not there. Not as a file, not as a license, not as a single downloadable byte. Alibaba announced it this week as the first open-weight model at its flagship scale. Right now, open is a sentence in a blog post. The model itself is real, and it is enormous. 2.4 trillion parameters, 95 billion of them active on every request, a 1 million token context window. Alibaba says the weights arrive next week, so the interesting question is not whether it is good, it is who will actually be able to run it. Because open weights sounds like it means local. Download the file, run the model, own your stack. That is how it worked when the best open model fit on one card. At this size, downloading the file is the easy part, and it is not the part that stops you. So I scored it. 10 questions, the same 10 for 4 different models. Are the weights actually there? What license covers them? How much storage and memory they need? Whether a startup could host one? And whether you could run it on the machine in front of you? One of those 4 models answers almost all of them yes, and it is not the one in the headline. First, 4 words that get used as if they mean the same thing. Open weights means you can download the parameters. Open source means the code and the rights come with them. Self-hostable means a company can operate it without the vendor. Local means you, personally, on your own hardware. Those are 4 different permissions, and a model can grant the first and refuse the last. That is not a trick. It is a consequence of size. A file you are allowed to copy is still a file you have to hold in memory, all of it, every time you use it. So here is Qwen3.8-Max scored today. The weights are not published. No license was named. Storage, unknown. Memory, unknown. 1 provider, and it belongs to Alibaba. 8 of the 10 questions cannot be answered yet, and the 2 that pass both describe a cloud service. That is not an oversight in my scoring. The announcement is 5,000 words long. I went through the full text looking for a memory figure, a hardware recommendation, a quantization format, or a serving stack. There is nothing. 5,000 words on what the model can do, and not 1 on what it takes to hold. And what it can do is genuinely startling. Alibaba left it running for 16 days on one code base and came back to 265 commits. It redesigned a hardware accelerator from 8,000 gates down to 678. It entered a live contest against 526 human teams and beat 458 of them. So how big is the download nobody has seen? Alibaba has not said, so this is an estimate with its arithmetic on screen. Kimi shipped a similar model at about 4.5 bits per parameter. At that ratio, 2.4 trillion parameters is about 1.3 terabytes. At full precision it is 4.8. Which brings in the second model. Kimi K3 is our closest real example at this scale. 2.8 trillion parameters, and unlike Qwen, the weights are actually there. 96 files, 1.5 terabytes, downloadable today by anyone, including you. And still not local. The license is a custom one, not a standard open license. The published deployment that actually works uses 8 accelerators with 288 gigabytes of memory each. The files fit in storage. The running model does not fit in your memory. Now the third model, and this is where the pattern breaks. DeepSeek published V4 Flash at the end of July under the MIT license. Not a custom license. The MIT license. 167 gigabytes, 48 files, a 1 million token context shipped already quantized. And it is not a toy. On DeepSeek's own published table, it scores 82.7 on Terminal Bench against 85 for Claude Opus 4.8. That is a gap of just over 2 points from a model you can download, read the license of, and host yourself. Now the fourth model answers the question I planted at the start. The one that says yes to almost everything is the smallest one on the list. Qwen3.8-Max quantized is 31 gigabytes. It uses the Apache 2.0 license and fits on a drive you already own. And here is the thing I did not expect. Put the 4 in order of size and the permissions run backwards. The biggest models carry the most restrictive terms or none at all. The smallest carries the most permissive, and the download counts agree. The 31GB Qwen file has 7.8 million downloads. The 1.5 terabyte Kimi model has 1.1 million. Now the strongest argument against everything I just said. Local is not the only freedom that matters. Published weights let researchers read the architecture, let hosting companies compete on price, and mean no single vendor can switch the model off. Qwen may publish exactly on time next week. The criticism is not of the plan. The criticism is the sequence. Openness was announced as a finished fact a week before the artifact, with no license attached, while 14,000 people downloaded a file named Qwen3.8 that Alibaba never released. It was an older 4 billion parameter model using the new product name. So the score does not collapse into 1%, and it should not. For a research lab, Qwen3.8-Max will be open. For a hosting company, it will be operable. For you, on the machine in front of you, it will be an API with a download button attached. Open stopped meaning local, somewhere around 1 trillion parameters. The models that still mean both are the small ones.